All right, welcome back to Championship Rounds. Yeah, it's me again. I'm back again. This is not an NFL show. Took the NFL week off for the holiday, Thanksgiving and all. But I am making it back just the day after with the homie. You know what I mean? Matt Redmond. What's up, Matt?
What's up, bro? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing just fine, sir. Glad to have you back again. I wanted to bring you into. I know we're gonna do a show on the big pay-per-view, but I wanted to bring you back on something that I'm burning on right now, if you will. But before we get into any of that, guys, as always, like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that. All of that helps me. Appreciate it tremendously. Enough of that. Matt, back to the subject at hand. I wanted to bring you in because I got a bone to pick. I got a bone to pick with women's MMA. All right? I don't want to come off as sexist. I don't. Love women. Love them. Rev my engine. All right? But we're talking about sport. This is purely for the debate pertaining to sport. Okay? So I'm not sexist. I don't want anybody to think that that's what, is going on here. Because it's not. Hold on a second. Alright. So, women's MMA. What I have you here for, Matt, is I'm going to break down what are, if you will, the pillars of WMMA. And after I get done with each one of those pillars, there's a few, as you can see. Got a list here. But after I get done with those pillars individually, I want your take on their contribution to women's MMA. And when we're all done, then we will sum it up, and just provide a summary of what we think of the state of women's MMA. All right? You with it? You good? You game?
I'm game.
You're game. Hey, glad to hear it. So, before I start with the first pillar, I just want to open it up with saying women's MMA. A lot of people don't like seeing women fight. They don't. But, and Dana White, the president of the largest promotion in the sport, said he would never have women in the sport. But we'll get to that.
When are we going to see women in the UFC, man?
Never.
Never? Never. All right, have a good night, man.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you, man. Definitely. Thank you, guys.
Have a good night.
Not in the sport, but his organization. We'll get to that. So, what would it take to bring eyeballs to women's MMA? The right fighter. Okay, I'm not trying to be a dick here, but large in part, women's MMA was full of, for lack of better words, not very attractive women. I mean, and then people are saying, oh, well, are you showing up to see beautiful women or are you showing up to see beautiful fighting? You know what I mean? When it comes to women's MMA, you know what I mean? If you really want to blow up with it, you can't have just one or the other. You got to have both of them. You know what I mean? You got to have both of them. You got to fight well and be easy as fuck on the eyes. Eye candy. There's a reason why the UFC Octagon girls get paid more than a lot of fighters and they're risking it all in the cage. There's a reason. All right, so miss me with that. So I got that disclaimer out of the way. Who broke through to get eyeballs on women's MMA? Who was it? Do you know who it was, Matt?
A lot of people claim Ronda Rousey.
Okay.
But,
okay. Well, this
like Carano.
Exactly. The first woman to break through was Gina Carano. Gina Carano is the former Strikeforce featherweight champion. All right. She was undefeated, no losses. Pretty damn good looking too.
Des yeux qui font baisser les miens, un rire qui se perd sur sa bouche, voilà le portrait sans retouche de l'homme auquel j'appartiens. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, qu'il me parle tout bas,
and had a lot of buzz. They're like, oh, this girl's beating girls up, beating the brakes off of these broads, and she looks good? And she looks good? Okay, so light bulbs went up. Strikeforce started promoting her. And yeah, that led to Strikeforce having the most notable women's division ever at the time. You know, and let's just break her down. Like I said, she was undefeated. She ended up being 7-1 because she was defeated and finished in the first round TKO by Chris Cyborg, and then she called it a day. All right? Hasn't fought since. Won't ever fight again. There's been teasers out there, but she's not coming back. So let's not even act like she is. So that's her career in a nutshell. As soon as she got popular, she got beat, and she retired. And now, obviously, you've seen her in Mandalorian, and I know she got canceled and shit, but yeah, she's doing other shit. I'm pretty sure she was in like she's in some other movies too. This isn't the documentary of Gina Carano. But with that being said, Matt, with her being undefeated, beating large in part women that were, hold on, I got a note here. All of her wins were against fighters coming off of losses, with the exception of one fighter who only had one fight to her damn name. All right? And like I said, she was defeated by Cyborg, and then she called it a fucking career. So, with that being said, the original gangster, if you will, Gina Carano, you know what I mean? Numero uno as far as pillars are concerned in women's MMA. What's your take away from her contribution based on the body of work she was able to provide before she called it?
I used to love her, but like I said, she wasn't fighting none of the girls like the girls that they were fighting. It was just a start of it. But yeah, she was easy on the eyes. Then you got Cyborg. Definitely is not easy on the eyes. No offense. I hope she don't see this and beat my ass, but she's an ugly bitch.
Wow, you didn't pull any punches, sir.
It's the truth.
Okay, so I guess let me just throw the question out there to you directly. If based on Gina Carano's career, 8 fights, 7 wins, 1 loss. The only noteworthy fighter she really fought was Cyborg. She was defeated. She retired. Do you come away from this fight in her career impressed with women's MMA because of what she was able to do? Say again?
Nope.
Why?
Just because she didn't really fight nobody. She was kind of hand-fed. She was built to be a star. So, no, I wasn't
100%.
impressed. I actually was more against it watching them than I was like up to date.
100%, sir. You hit the nail on the head with that statement. She was being hand-fed talent to boost her stardom. And when she finally faced someone that was actually another par above her, or at least same par, which we learned she was a few pars above her, she was defeated, felt that level, and was like, oh yeah, I'm done. You know, I'm going to go ahead and preserve my pretty face. So let's move on to that level, and that's Chris Cyborg, all right? Former featherweight champion in Strikeforce, Invicta, UFC, and Bellator. The woman has won the belt in every single organization she's ever fought for, okay? MMA record 25-2. Very fucking impressive, all right? Tested positive for steroids after her first title defense in Strikeforce. Got stripped.
When I saw her at the MMA Awards, she looked like Vanderlei Silva in a dress and heels. And she did. Didn't she not? Who wants to dispute that she didn't look like Vanderlei? She got up and she was like, walking up the stairs, jacked up on steroids, beyond belief, and looked like Vanderlei Silva in a dress and heels. You believe?
She lost to the biggest name she's ever faced, Amanda Nunes, obviously. And she's larger than the lion's share of most of the competition she's ever faced. All right. So, look, she's larger than most of the competition she's ever faced because when she got to the UFC, they didn't have a 145 division. So what they do, they were pulling women from Invicta who were 135-pound champions, 135-pound champions, putting her in there with Cyborg. Yes, I'm talking about Yana Kunitskaya. I'm talking about, I can't even remember the other girls' names, but they were champions in Invicta at 135 pounds. They even had Holly Holm come up and face her, and obviously Amanda Nunes came up and faced her and defeated her. But Chris Cyborg, highly decorated. Highly decorated. Is there a taint? Is she tainted by the positive steroid? The positive steroid use. She obviously isn't a fan of the UFC, Dana White, Joe Rogan.
You know, he's the type of guy say, I'm like Vanderlei Silva with dress. He's the type of guy laughing when Joe Rogan say I have a dick.
You know, that's well documented. But as far as her body of work, she's the one that came up and said, Carano's the pretty face, I'm the great fighter. Took her out. Retired her. Okay? And still fighting to this day, still champion. I guess my question to you is Cyborg the GOAT? Yes or no?
That's a hard one. Yeah. Yeah, I guess she is. Really. She is the GOAT. She looks like one, too. She's the GOAT. I mean, that stigma about the steroid use, and then there's a lot of people that don't know, but they was all questioning whether or not she was transgender and stuff, like Fallon Fox. But not, she's a woman. She's 100% woman.
Tax that ass for days, man. Yeah, keep walking, bitch.
She's just a big ass woman.
She's all woman. I'll tax that ass for days.
Yeah. But yeah, she was the GOAT. She just didn't have superstars to fight back then. And then by the time she got to Amanda and got whooped, I think she was already sick of the UFC. So I really don't think she really just ran from Amanda. I think she ran from the UFC, to be honest with you.
I'm gonna second that notion because I do believe she is the GOAT. I know Amanda gets all the fanfare because she's defeated all the names, but when Chris Cyborg faced Amanda Nunes, I mean, Chris has been fighting for a long time, longer than that of Amanda Nunes. You know, I mean, she's more at the end of her career. Amanda Nunes is in the height of her prime. You know, so with that being said, Chris Cyborg is decorated. All right, and if the UFC played ball with her instead of saying, oh, well, Ronda's in a different weight class. She ain't going to come up and, do a catch weight with Cyborg. We're not going to do that.
All right, so let's talk about a next potential fight. It's the only fight people can talk about, obviously. Cyborg Santos. Listen, she's basically come out and made it very public. She cannot drop down to 135. First of all, do you buy that?
No, not at all. If you're pumped full of steroids and the lightest you can get is 145, then if you're clean, it's assumed that you could get lighter. And she hasn't had a recorded win in like over 3 years. And she's the one that should be trying to make all of the changes to try and clear her name instead of walking around and saying that everyone should make all kinds of exceptions for her and create divisions and catchweights just for her. I don't know where this sense of entitlement comes from. There's a lot of really accomplished and honorable women fighters that deserve title shots ahead of her. I mean, Sarah McMahon won a silver medal in the Olympics in wrestling and is undefeated at this point. That's the kind of girl that deserves a title shot ahead of some fraud. And if Cyborg doesn't want to make the weight and they want to really over-negotiate the contract and ask for too much money and ask to be released from the UFC, we're not going to go chase them down. We don't need them. She needs me. I don't need her. So if she wants to come around and actually do something sensible for once, she'll come to the only division that exists and fight for the only title that matters. If not, then whatever. I'll fight other people and she could just fade into obscurity.
Because they're protecting Ronda and her stardom. We'll get to her. But she didn't get the names, but she was definitely calling them out. And when she got the name, she was defeated, yes. But, like I said, the body of work speaks volumes. Muhammad Ali, a lot of people see him as the greatest of all time. He didn't end his boxing career gracefully, but they still see him as the greatest of all time. Cyborg was knocked out. Cyborg bounced back. Cyborg's champion today. She's got my vote for GOAT. No disrespect to Amanda Nunes, but she's got my vote. So, I think we can both sit here and agree, after seeing or hearing everything about Cyborg, or a lot of things about Cyborg and her how she's decorated, her championships, her record, her track record, I think we can both agree that, you know what I mean, if the lion's share of fighters were on par or at least near par with Cyborg, that it'd be pretty damn competitive. Would you not agree with that?
I do agree,
All right.
100%.
All right, so we're going to move on from Chris Cyborg because that's pretty much where the popularity in women's featherweight ended. Yes, that's how it works in women's MMA. That's 145 pounds.
Yeah.
Gina Carano, 145 pounds. Chris Cyborg, 145 pounds. Well, you know, Chris Cyborg just took out the cash cow, so that, you know, brought the train to a fucking halt. So they had to switch gears. And the next pillar I'm bringing up is Rowdy Ronda Rousey. She was fighting at 145 pounds. But after that dismantling of Gina Carano by Chris Cyborg, she took her ass to 135 pounds. Now that's the new hotness. Now that they didn't want to promote Cyborg, she tested positive. Now they're promoting 135 pounds. 135 is the new division now. So let's break down Ronda Rousey. All right? Ronda Rousey, former Strikeforce and UFC, obviously, bantamweight champion. 135 pounds. I can't stress that more. Olympic judo bronze medalist. MMA record of 12-2. Now let's break down Ronda Rousey. Rowdy Ronda. All right. Biggest wins against Miesha Tate and Kat Zingano. All right. First 8 wins by armbar, all in the first round, except for the rematch with Miesha Tate. All right. And to end her career, she was KO'd twice. All right. In short order. Pretty much. Okay. So, with that being known about Ronda Rousey, all right, she was the new hotness. And I feel like she was in there with a bunch of people that shouldn't have been in there with her. I'm talking about the Alexis Davises of the world. I'm talking about the Betch Koheias of the world. I'm talking about the people they fed to her. And that trainer that she had, Edmund Terverdian. She came into the sport a one fucking trick pony. I'm not sugarcoating it. One trick pony. That's why her first fucking 8 victories are by armbar. All but one in the first round, and the only reason why that one wasn't in the first round is because she already did it to the girl in the first, Miesha Tate, in the first round already. So if Miesha Tate wanted to show she was working on anything or improved at all, she had to last longer than a round. But you know, everybody knows everybody knows Ronda Rousey was Miesha Tate's kryptonite. All right, Miesha Tate's a wrestler. She can box a little bit, but she's a wrestler. Well, you wrestle Ronda Rousey, you're going right into the world she wants you to go into. Okay, but what happened when the fighters didn't go into that world? When Holly Holm came in with the footwork and the boxing and the kickboxing, flatlined her. Biggest upset at the time ever.
Fake sweet act is, I see right through it. I really do. It was all fake. All until now. All that respect, all that everything, all you being sweet. I see right now that it's fake and you're going to get it on Sunday. You're not the first person that thought that you had the perfect plan to beat me. It's not the first time your camp thought that they had the perfect plan to beat me. I'm going to show you on Sunday why I'm the champ.
All right. Then she takes a hiatus. You know, everybody knows about the pillow to face through the airport. You know what I mean? But then she finally comes back. Yeah, she's back. She's back. All the promotions around her. All the promotions around Ronda. KO'd again. Lifeless performance. Went to WWE. So, with that being said, man, was Ronda Rousey's title reign fool's gold, or am I being too hard on her?
Fool's gold. Fool's gold.
What do
She
you?
was hand-fed. She was a one-trick pony. Her coach was a joke. She was just a new face. They built her up. That was like the selling point. She's the one who did break through to the UFC. Yeah, she did do that. But that's just because I think Dana saw a pretty girl he could promote and bring her in, and that's what they did.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any
Good fighter.
truth to it. I don't know if there's any truth to it, but one Brendan Schaub used to have a relationship with Ronda Rousey, and he says that him and Dana are Eskimo brothers, if you know what I mean. So I'm not going to take that any further than that because I really don't care about either of their sex lives. But at the end of the day, yes, Dana saw somebody he could promote. It is a business. He wasn't going to bring in a Cyborg because Cyborg was dominating everybody. He was like, okay, well, I need something that people want to look at. He looks at Ronda. Look at all these first round finishes. Oh, she's an Olympian? I got all of these things that I can promote her with. Yes. Brings her into the UFC. She had a run that was, a lot of it was, gifted. I want to say, because Sarah McMahon can't box. She's a wrestler. I don't need to document her opponents. They got her thinking that she could box, and that got her boxed up. All right, so moving on from Ronda Rousey, let's move on to who defeated her, Holly Holm, the preacher's daughter. The preacher's daughter, Holly Holm, went into, what was it? It was in Australia, Melbourne. Wasn't it Melbourne, was it? It doesn't matter. She went down under and buried the bitch. Okay, right there in front of everybody. One of the largest gate in history. So with that being said, not only the UFC was like, okay, well, we're just gonna give. At the time, they were like, we're just going to give Holly, Ronda stardom. She's wholesome. She's multi-time boxing world champion. She's the preacher's daughter. We can sell her. So what happens? She replaces Ronda on Good Morning America, the whole nine.
She's now starring in a new movie with Mark Wahlberg called Mile 22. Would you please welcome Ronda Rousey?
She's the woman behind one of the most shocking upsets in sports history. Holly Holm knocking out Ronda Rousey, the seemingly invincible UFC women's bantamweight champion turned movie star and mainstream magazine cover girl in the cage this weekend. But for those who know 34-year-old Holly Holm, it wasn't an upset at all.
I've been the underdog before. I've had to come in after a lot of people doubting me before, and that definitely prepared me to know that believing in myself is huge, and that's the biggest thing.
With 19 World Boxing Championships under her belt.
First, they wanted to call her Holly Hottie or Holly Hollywood or something like that. She said, I don't want to be known for that part of it. Just call me the preacher's daughter.
They wanted her to hold out. For the Ronda Rousey rematch. But, her and her coaches decided they wanted to get back in there, got in there with Miesha Tate, fought a good fight, but got strangled and, put to damn sleep. Put to bed, laid out.
Miesha's got her back. Holly stands up. She's got to be careful. Miesha's got her neck. Miesha looking to lock it in. Miesha looking to choke her out. Whoa. She's got her back. Still has it. She's tapping. She's tapping. And it's all over. Miesha Tate is the new UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion.
Is that me?
Yep.
No, that's
you.
Me. So,
my bad.
You're good. Look, I'm going to lay this out and then I'm going to ask you the question. Holly Holm started 10-0, undefeated. Couple of shaky split decision in there, I think, to Raquel Pennington. But 10-0. She was 1-3 after defeating Ronda Rousey. Yes, 1 victory and 3 defeats. Yes, after defeating Ronda Rousey. And she's 40 fucking years old to date. So, this is one of the biggest names in women's MMA. She was a champion in the premier division at the start of the hot potato belt. You know what I mean? From Ronda to Holly. From Holly to Miesha. From Miesha to, the hot potato belt. So, with that being said, Holly Holm came over, decorated boxing. She shocked the world when she put Ronda Rousey to sleep. Then she got put to sleep. She was strangled in one of the biggest I think it was a Conor McGregor card, but got put to sleep. I guess the question to present to you, Holly Holm has fallen short of every title fight thus far. Got knocked out by Amanda. Got mauled by Cyborg. Couldn't beat Jermaine Durandamy. So that's 3 title losses right there, and some of those she got off of a loss. Because who else were they going to put in there? That's what the women's MMA was about. So, with that being said, was Holly Holm also overrated just as much as Ronda Rousey?
Man, she is like probably one of the first few female fighters I ever really had real fire respect for. Because she, like you said, was a boxer. She had been in the game for a long time, and then she just showed the whole world all the weaknesses of Ronda Rousey and shocked everybody. And every time she goes to fight, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know if you could just put her up there like that at the same time. But I got much love for her. She definitely was somebody to watch fight. She's got a fight coming up, don't she?
I believe so, and I agree with you, Matt. Like, I love her as a fighter. Hell, what I know about her as a person, love that too. This isn't a slight against her, but think about it, bro. She spent the prime of her athletic career in boxing, not MMA, boxing. She came to MMA, she did well. She went 10-0. There was a lot of close fights against some names that aren't even fucking names along the way. But she got there, and that's why it was such a big upset, Matt. That's why it was such a big upset when she beat Ronda. Because if she had been blowing the doors off of it, that shit would have been looking a lot closer. But because she had a lot of close fights, she was able to beat Ronda because her coaches and the media and everybody was trying to, Dana White was, look, did you see Ronda Rousey hit the mids? Oh, God, man. Listen, she is a judoka. Okay, that's what got her to the dance. That's what had her undefeated for the longest. You know what I mean? Her judo, her submissions, the armbar. So, when she got in there with a real boxer, what do you think is going to happen? This is a real boxer. You are a you are a wish boxer. Like, that's what you are. A real boxer versus a wish boxer. Real boxer takes her the fuck out. Okay, but after that, you know what I mean? You're a real boxer. Now you're in there with a real wrestler. Now you get strangled. Look at the holes in these women's game. And then since then, you've been losing. You pick up a win here and there to show that you still got some fire in you. But you've been losing. So how great were you really? You beat Ronda Rousey. A lot of that was fool's gold that even built Ronda Rousey. That is your biggest victory ever. Ronda Rousey. So how are you not, I'm sorry to say it, overrated? You know what I mean? Great fighter for women's MMA, but how good is she really? Matt, do you got anything to say for him? Okay. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So let's move on. We're going to Cupcake Land because Miesha Tate, who just recently came back and got destroyed by Ketlin Vieira, disgusting. I hated watching it, but happened. I didn't mention that Holly Holm was a former boxing champion, former bantamweight champion. Okay, Miesha Tate took her belt, former bantamweight champion of Strikeforce and the UFC. She's got a wrestle box style. Ronda Rousey had her fucking number. She's 19-8, might be 19-9 now after that fight, but Ronda Rousey had her number. 3 fights, all ended, stoppage, armbar, at various times, but armbar. You know what I mean? She's got your number. Okay, so you pulled out a big upset against Holly Holm. You got it done. You got heart, kid. Nobody ever doubted that. But I think you peaked when you did that. You peaked, Miesha Tate, because what happened after that? You went in there, UFC 200, you got to headline because Jon Jones, Daniel Cormier fight fell off because of Jon Jones. Brock Lesnar didn't want to fight 5 rounds, so he stayed the co-main event, and you got the headline against Amanda Nunes, UFC 200 for the belt, and you came out there and got dog walked. That's what happened. Lost your belt. You You know, came back against Raquel Pennington, got boxed up, and you quit on the fucking stool. Yes, look back at the tape. You said it to your coach. I just don't want it anymore, because you didn't. All right, you didn't. So, with that being said, Miesha Tate, love you, huge fan, been a huge fan for a long time, but you'll never be champion again. You got to be a champion when you defeated Holly Holm. Styles make fights. I think that's, you know what I mean, a lot. That bears a lot in women's MMA. But anyways, good fighter for the women's MMA. I don't know if that's saying much. Good fighter for women's MMA. But yeah, you became champion, and yeah, you peaked. All right, so Matt, another question to you. Miesha Tate, champion in Strikeforce, got armbarred, lost her belt in Strikeforce, came to the UFC, got beat up by Amanda, lost her belt there. Where do you rank her? How high on your totem pole do you hold her performance and her contribution to women's MMA?
She's definitely eye candy, but I think her fighting career is over with. She's fool's gold, bro. We had I respect her.
Well, you don't have to agree with me. Hey, you don't have to agree with me if you don't, man. I'm just breaking it down because, you know, if this was men's, and we'll get to that, it would be held to a whole different level of scrutiny. But we'll get to that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, if you truly agree, I dig it, bro. Like, I'm just saying, like, you got beat by Ronda Rousey, had your number, and Ronda Rousey was a pipe dream. She was a dream that they sold us, and we bought it for a while until it was exposed to being just that. I mean, so if somebody like that had your number, and it's not like you're blowing the doors off of everybody else, you know what I mean? You push through and beat Holly Holm, but how good are you really?
Exactly. I mean, she could her this fight where she just lost. I noticed she threw some kicks. Like, I never really seen her much kicking game. She's more of a wrestler and a puncher. But she still just. I don't think that was ring rust, dude. I think she just needs to go on ahead and hang it up.
Let's not sugarcoat it, Matt. She was a fucking punching bag, okay? She was a meat shield. Yeah. Right? She was taking all the damage, all right? Taking all the fucking damage. So yeah, like, if you you know, when she said she was coming back out of retirement, I thought, and she got a win against Mary Renault, I thought she was going to use that win to get a huge fight. Well, you took the Caitlin Vieira fight. Not a very big fight. And that's putting it lightly. That's not a big. That's not on nobody. That's not on anybody's radar. They're just like, oh, Miesha's fighting against who? Who? Okay, so you lost that fight. So there goes your huge fucking rematch with Amanda Nunes. You forget about that. Yeah. Maybe you get a rematch with Holly Holm. Maybe people want to see that. You can put that on a pay-per-view card. But
dude, she don't want Amanda Nunes.
No, I'm sure she was trying to get a title shot though. But I'm saying you can put Holly Holm versus Miesha Tate on a pay-per-view card. They still got. That's the thing. Those are the names in women's MMA, and they're washed, damn near.
Yeah, they shouldn't.
Maybe I shouldn't say washed. They're just at the end of their careers. I think that's more delicate. But let's move on, Matt. Let's move on to who took her belt. See how I'm doing this? Each of them took their belt. Okay, so.
Yeah, with the history.
Right. So bantamweight's still the hotbed here, okay? Miesha Tate, UFC 200, defeated by Amanda Nunes. It was one-way traffic. Amanda Nunes is, the consensus GOAT. I know we went on about Cyborg. A lot of people give it to Amanda Nunes, and she's worthy. She's beating the names. She's beating everybody that's been champion at 145 and 135 and 125 that she's never even fought at. But she's beating every woman that's ever held a belt at those weight classes in the UFC. I'm talking about Shevchenko. I'm talking about Cyborg. I'm talking about Germaine de Randamie, Rousey, Miesha Tate, Holly Holm, beating them all. So she's got all the names under her belt, so it's hard to deny her claim to the throne. You know what I mean? It's hard. She's got a claim. So with that being said, 21-4 in MMA. People say 4 losses. You know, Anderson Silva was considered the GOAT for a long time, and he came into the UFC with 4 losses. So, okay. So, Amanda Nunes, 21-4. Defeated all, you know, already put it that way. Already said who she defeated. The 2 victories over Valentina Shevchenko. And right now, she's got no threats to her crown. She's fighting Juliana Pena in her next fight, who's already been taken down, who's got a style to wrestle you and get you to the ground and beat you up or submit you. But she already got taken down, wrestled, and beat up by Valentina Shevchenko, a woman that the champ has already defeated not once, but 2 fucking times. So who's thinking that this bitch is... Sorry. Who's thinking that this woman is going to get in there and beat her? Nobody. And that's the thing. She ain't been fighting nobody that anybody thought had a prayer since she fought Cyborg. So it's like, okay, Amanda Nunes is definitely not a pay-per-view draw because people aren't convinced that she's threatened. So, with that being said, to have a woman who's defeated every name, and most of them in devastating fashion, Matt, and now to be fighting these cupcakes that, you know what I mean, shouldn't even be in there with her. Like, how, like, It's impressive what Amanda did. Somebody has pushed themselves far away from the pack and actually defeated their contemporaries, the ones that were considered good. I'm not talking about Ronda, who fought, you know, those women that shouldn't even have got title fights, and built her name and her legend off of that, and then got her day of reckoning. I'm not talking about the other women who won the belt on a one night off, but couldn't hold on to it long enough to defend it one fucking time. I'm talking about Amanda, who did what none of those other women did. So somebody pushed themselves, away from the pack, so to speak. But she's not fighting anybody anymore. She's getting easy fucking paydays, Matt. These women shouldn't be in there with her. Like, we already know Amanda's great. Fighting these second tier, third tier women's fighters isn't going to do anything for her legacy. I mean, I guess it's going to give her more numbers. But Matt, with that being said, Amanda pushed herself away from the pack. Does that make you more impressed? Knowing what Amanda did, does that make you more impressed with women's MMA? Or is there a reason that you would say, okay, well, maybe if it was more competitive?
See, it was more competitive when Amanda first started coming through. She beat adversity and bounced back, even that loss to Kat Zingano. Oh man, I think she's the GOAT. She's defending 2 fucking weight classes at the same time. She's done went. Now she sees she evolved past everybody. She is the baddest out there. Now she sees what Chris Cyborg went through. Who the fuck wants to stand there and fight her? She's tearing their asses up. They all scared, and she's hurting them when she does it. She is a bad bitch. Ask her on the Rousey.
Ask her.
But
ask all of them hoes.
Yeah, she's Cyborg because there's just not enough talent in the women's division. If she was in the men's division, she would be somebody like Usman. Every guy she's fixing to face next is dangerous in some way of taking that belt. But instead, she's here where she can kind of just sleep, wake up, go beat ass, go out on a date with a girl, wake up, eat breakfast like ain't shit happened. There's nobody for her. Pena ain't gonna get it done.
I completely agree with everything you said, sir. Like I said, she's definitely got a claim to the crown. Some say she is the GOAT. You know what I mean? I can't argue with them. It's their opinion. And she's definitely right there. She probably is. Like, I put Cyborg there, but it's mixer match. I'm not upset about either of them being in that spot. But yeah, she's defeated everybody. Like, everybody. She bounced back from her losses. She got it together. She pulled away from the fucking pack. So I gotta agree with you. She's the first one thus far that we've talked about that wasn't fool's gold or didn't just break through on a one night off. You know what I mean? She's the first one that's had sustainable dominance against perceived top tier talent. You know what I mean? So I got to give it to her. My hat's off to her. Got to give it to her. She's defeated more names than Cyborg. Got to give her that. You know, more women with legitimate belts. So yeah, I can't hate on Nunes at all. I'm not trying to hate on any of these guys or any of these women. I'm just trying to keep it real as far as what level, you know what I mean, that they're really fighting on. Because a lot of, like going back to what Dana White said, there's not enough good women, so I don't want to have women in the UFC. That's what he said. He is the president of the UFC. So obviously, what I'm saying isn't, you know what I mean, unfathomable. You know what I mean? I can't even say the word. I'm just saying, it's you know what I mean? It's perceivable that what I'm saying could be accurate here. You know what I mean? There could be smoke, which leads to fire. You know what I mean? Whatever. Anyways, moving on to Valentina Shevchenko. I got the biggest bone to pick with Valentina Shevchenko. Biggest bone. Not because I don't think she's a brilliant fighter. Great fighter. One of the top tier fighters. One of the fighters that's set herself apart from other fighters. She's right up there with Amanda as far as talent. 100%. Not gonna cap. Right up there with her with talent. But Dana White came out and said, okay, these fighters are pushing for 165 pound weight class. Those in between fighters. What did he say? All right, well, I just don't want everybody running there that they can't win belts at 170 or 155 as they run to 165. That's what Dana White said, the president. Okay, Amanda Nunes defeated Shevchenko twice. They create a new division and put a belt on a woman that can't even make weight because she won some Ultimate Fighter. All right, you know what I mean? They stripped her ass, you know what I mean? I think they put Valentina in there with what's her face? The real goofy girl. I can't remember her name. But I'm not gonna spend time trying to remember it. Look, put her in there with her. Right. So that's who she won her belt off of. And look at who she's been fighting. They show highlights of her knocking out Jessica Ai with a spinning kick to the head. It's Jessica Ai. What is she, 9-9, 9-10? How the fuck does she still have a job? Anyway, so you couldn't win a belt at 135 pounds because Amanda defeated you twice. The UFC creates a division for you. And who goes there? A bunch of women who would never fight for a belt at 135 or 115 pounds. The premier divisions, none of them. They create 125, and we get your Jennifer Maia fight. You get your Jessica Ai fight. You get your Caitlin Chukagian fight. Who are these bitches? Listen, they would not fight for belts. So what they do? These women don't have names. Nobody really wants to show up and see these Valentina fight them. Then we all know she's going to beat him. Yeah, we do. So what do? Okay, let's give her some people with names. Let's pull women from a division so small that Valentina would have to kill herself if she tried to compete at. Let's pull 115-pound women. Andrade, she's fought at 135 pounds. Fought the really biggest just to fight in the UFC because they didn't have any other weight class but 135. Champion at 115 pounds. Feed her to Amanda. Way too big. What does she do? She takes Andrade down and beats her up. Okay. Joanna, 115-pounder. Feed her to Amanda. What happens? Too big. Boxes her up. Takes her down. Beats her up. Okay. Too big. You know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying here? Like, her biggest win names are people that came from a weight class she could never, ever compete at. She can't win at 130 pounds, 35 pounds. So, she's champion at 125 pounds. You know what I mean? And there's nobody there to fight. You know, there's nobody to fight. Why is this division here? Okay? When Demetrius Johnson was running roughshod through 125 pounds, the same weight class, might I add, the same weight class, what was Dana White saying? He was trying to nix the whole fucking division. Yeah. He loses a controversial split decision to Henry Cejudo, and they ship him to Japan. But we're gonna keep we're gonna keep women's featherweight though. We're gonna keep that around. Why? Matt, This is why I got the bone to pick. How do you feel about this, bro? I did a lot of talking. I'm
Dude,
sorry.
I thought this division was going to create like a whole new opportunity and a whole lot better fights, but it's just like the featherweight division in women's MMA. It's useless. Hell, they have nobody in there. I mean,
It might as well be the featherweight
115
division.
and yeah, 115 and 135 is way more interesting than 125 and 145. And damn, she's gonna be just like Demetrius Johnson. If she stays there, there's gonna be nobody. They're going to have to screw her out of the belt.
They ain't gonna treat her
to
like
make
they ain't gonna
it
treat her like
better.
Demetrius Johnson. You
Ever.
know, they said, oh, Demetrius Johnson didn't move the needle. You're telling me that fans are coming in droves or showing up at the box office or wherever they purchase pay-per-view to see Valentina fight? Miss me with that nonsense. No, they are not. She's not fighting anybody. Nobody's like, oh my gosh, I gotta see Valentina fight. Nobody's saying that. So they're not gonna treat her like they ain't shipping her ass to Japan. You know what I mean? You bet your ass on that. She ain't going nowhere. You wanna know why? Because the UFC is biased to women's MMA. That's why you know what I mean? What's her name? That's why some of them can stick around. Some of them are on 3-fight, 4-fight losing streaks. They keep trying to push Joanne Calderwood into title fights, but she can't string more than one win together. She keeps losing. They keep trying to paint a narrative to get her to fight Valentina, but she keeps fucking losing, just like everybody else in the weight class. Like, why does this weight class exist? Like, it's just like if this was the men's divisions, they would have been losing their jobs. I'm not calling for them to start firing these women. I'm just pointing out the bias. You know what I mean? It's definitely biased. It's like the foreign fighters. Foreign fighters can lose multiple fights. Your Yoshihiro Akiyamas, your Dan Hardys. I don't need to catalog them. They can lose fight after fight after fight. Keep their fucking job. But if a Tyron Woodley, former fucking champion, loses a couple in a row, he's gone. You know what I mean? That's just how it works. You know, the American fighters are expendable. You know, they treat the women and the foreign fighters as a larger commodity. And they're smart. They've put this all together. I can't knock their hustle. I'm just pointing out what I see with these eyes. You know, that's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, again, Matt. Valentina Shevchenko. You got anything to add on her before we move on?
I really wish she would. I don't know. I want to see her go back to 115, ditch the 125 belt, go to 115. She did.
Nah, she could never make 115. You mean 135?
She hung with Nunes now, so she might do all right at 135. She go in there and probably destroy some Raquel Penningtons or something like that. Some JoJo Calderwood.
Who wants to see that?
I forgot JoJo dropped. Nobody really. Nobody. I want to see a comp. I'm not a titty and ass fan when I'm watching fucking UFC. I want to see some beautiful fucking footwork, head movement. I want to see a fighter. I want to see somebody like Amanda Nunes.
So let me say this. Let me say this, Matt. This is the question I'm gonna present to you before we move on. Okay, I laid it out for you. Amanda's biggest wins are against 115 pounders, straw weights. Her biggest wins are against straw weights. Okay, I know everybody's like, oh, she beat Holly Holm. We discussed Holly Holm. Okay, look. Biggest wins against straw weights. She's not fighting anybody at 125 pounds. Lost to the champ twice at 135 pounds. If she was to get the trilogy fight with the champ and get defeated again, does that completely destroy her legacy? Yep. Or maybe that's too strong. Does that show that she's also fool's gold? Like, you know, top tier fighter, but there's just Amanda here. And really, you're only champion of that division because they created it and there's nobody there. Really. And then you're fighting people smaller than you. So isn't that a bit of fool's gold feeling? Like, isn't that Fugazi feeling? Like, am I off base here? If I am, definitely. Say it, bro. It's cool.
No, definitely. Like, I feel like Well, first time she fought Amanda was pretty close. Second time, not really. And then Amanda's just unaccelerated. And then they built Valentina at this point. They pretty
Yes.
much like a surround. I mean, hell, they they make her look so awesome. They're just feeding her like minnows right now, like a little fish in the pond. So yeah, she's definitely fool's gold, and then Nunez would definitely dispose of it. So
All right.
yeah,
That's all I
yeah,
was saying. That's all I was saying.
yeah.
Let's get on to the last thing. I just bundled. I didn't mark these. I didn't write these women down individually. I put them all together because honestly, this is probably, and when I say probably, it is the most competitive division in women's MMA history, especially in the UFC. You got your Andrade, you got Joanna, you got Wei Li, you got Rose, Carla Esparza, you got you had Claudia Gadelia. I know Jessica Aguilar found her way out after she was hot in World Series of Fighting. They used to say she was the best. USADA came in. I don't know if it had anything to do with her, but she lost a bunch of fights and got let go. But most competitive division in women's MMA. And I think Rose is the best of the bunch. I think Carla got her young, and then Andrade caught her in a slam, even though she has been defeated by the Tiny Tornado Tisha Torres by decision. Rose, I'm talking. So, and they have been tossing the belt around a bit. Joanna, Rose, Jessica, Wei Li, back to Rose. Like, so, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? What do you got? What do you got to say here? Like, you got a lot of championship runs here. Like I said, it went from Carla to Joanna to Rose to Andrade to Wei Li. Wei Li beat Joanna, and then Rose beat Zhang twice. Like, she beat Joanna twice. So very competitive fights. Definitely, when Joanna was the force, she would just hit you a million times, but not take you out unless you're Jessica Pena. That was brutal. But I mean, this is the most competitive division here, and I think if the UFC did atom weight, 105, I think that's what it is, or 109, something like that, 105, 109. I think that would have been a more competitive division to make than 125, but that's another story. But anyways, this is the most competitive division in the sport of women's MMA. Does this make you a fan of women's MMA? I'm gonna go out there and tell you, it does it for me. This is high level, especially, you know what I mean. This is high level, down the board. I'm fully invested. It's stacked. It's the most stacked in the history. Not just with a bunch of people that have perceived names. No, they got real names because we've seen them compete. So again, does this get you going for women's MMA here, this division?
The women that you just named off does, but that's it. When I hear of another women's MMA 115, if it ain't none of them names, I'm like, this is going to be a sleeper fight. Going there, not off the board. But whenever the other ones that you named off is fighting, oh yeah, I guess I do become a temporary fan then. But I'm not a big fan at all of it.
And I
That's the
completely
best division.
I completely understand why, Matt, because I mean, let's just be real about it. These women have, shown that they're championship caliber at their respective division, but they are very, very small women. They're 115 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get your knockouts, like we just saw Rose knock out Wei Li. Yeah, we saw, some finishes. Jessica Andrade slamming the fin. We've seen some finishes at the high level by these names, but they're small women, so normally we just get, you know what I mean? I don't want to be sexist, but cat fights. You know what I mean? Just like
Yeah.
not devastating damage. You know what I mean? Somebody might get cut. You know what I mean? That could happen. But we're not seeing like people get dropped and rocked and put and sent to the fucking Shadowland. It's just not happening. You know what I mean? Like so yeah, I get what you're saying. But, I just didn't want to be too critical because this division is far better, in my opinion, than that of 135 pounds at any period, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
But,
most definitely. They've had some fight of the years
I
in
mean,
that weight class. More than one, like 2 or 3.
and like I said, man, I know I'm doing a lot of talking here, but you know how they switch divisions on which are the hotbeds? Well, Amanda's defeated everybody at 135 pounds. Amanda defeated Cyborg. They don't even have a division for 145 pounds. Amanda still got the belt, though, so, you know, nobody's showing up to watch Amanda just, oh, I want to see Amanda fight. No, I mean, she's got a fan base. I'm saying the casuals aren't showing up to see Amanda beat nobodies. You know what I mean? They're not showing up to beat nobodies. The hardcores are, because they are junkies like me. We're going to watch either way. But, but now the hotbed is, you know what I mean, women's strawweight. You know, Rose is the figure. Wei Li, the first champion out of China, she was the figure. Joanna, Polish Power, she was the figure. You know what I mean? That is the weight class now, 115 pounds. And you know what, Matt? 125 pounds, the weight class that Valentina is a part of, will never be the division. Ever. Never be the division. Not even close.
Never.
That will never be the division. And I will go as far to say, worst division in the sport. Worst division in the damn UFC. I'm saying it. So, anything to say about women's women's strawweight, the division that Rose is champion of, before we move on to a few quick topics and get out of here?
No, sir. I think we pretty much covered it all.
All right. So, how do you feel? Then we're going to just a few quick points here. The first one being, Matt, these are quick questions to you. How do you feel about all of these women getting title shots off of losses? Your Joannas, your Holly Holmes, your, I don't need to keep naming them, getting title shots after losses, when in the men's divisions, like your Leon Edwards, your Tony Fergusons, have to go on 8 and 9 fight winning streaks. Your Justin Gaethjes have to beat everybody down until it's undeniable. Your Dustin Poiriers have to claw and grit with everything they got. You know what I mean? And finally get a title shot because they needed a fill-in fight for fucking Khabib when they put him in there with Max. You know what I mean? How do you feel about, you know what I mean, the bias on giving them these title shots? Do you think it's because women's MMA is just not even near par with the men, and being that, like, there's only so many names because a lot of them fucking suck? I said it. You know, you think that's what it is? Or what's your take on it? Why are these women getting all these title shots after losses, and these men have to fucking claw with their fucking fingernails? You know what I mean? Everybody's not Chael Sonnen. What do you think?
I think they got a product that they got to try to sell, and that's why you get that what you get. Because back in the day, before women, before Conor, ever in being given today, you didn't come in a loser and get a championship. You had to beat who's who. You know what I'm saying? What's going on today? Bad, and that shit, I don't lose my belt.
All right, I don't want you to readjust anything. But if you could say that again, that'd be great. You were cutting in and out pretty damn bad. I think you might still be. All right. It appears that we've lost Matt. Technical difficulties. So I'm going to go ahead and get us out of here. So let me just start by saying, I'll answer the question. You know, the UFC gives a lot of title shots to women coming off of losses because they don't have anybody else noteworthy, notable. Like, there's nobody that can put together those impressive winning streaks like you see in the men's. And a lot of the men's divisions have champions that, you know, they get the belt, they take vacation, and they're stacked at the top. So it's like, you know, who do you put in there with them? And that's why you see those winning streaks, because they're good enough to do that, but there's a bunch of guys that are good enough to do that and be at the top of those divisions. So that's why you see that. Next point, fighters keeping their jobs with terrible records. In the UFC, I touched on it. Woodley, former champion, loses a few. He's gone. But, foreign fighters can lose a bunch, keep their job. Women's fighters lose a lot, keep their jobs. Jessica I still got a job. You know what I mean? Like, it's an obvious bias. Take from what you want with that. You know what I mean? But it's not because these women are great fighters. No. They need these women to fill out their divisions because they're a content creating company. Yes, that's why the pay-per-view model isn't as booming as it was. They've got contracts with broadcasting networks now. They want content. So they keep these women. They let the men go. I don't know why, but they do. It's just what happens. Next point, 125, men versus women. I said it already. At 125 for the men, they had a whole Ultimate Fighter full of champions, undefeated champions from various organizations. They can't have, when they had the 125 for the women, not anywhere close to the par of the men. But they were trying to get rid of the men's division. They slapped a championship belt on Montano. What's her name? I don't care. She's not even in the UFC anymore. Couldn't even make weight for the division. Why was she champion to begin with? Roxanne Modafferi fought Valentina for the belt. That's who Valentina defeated for the championship title of the world? Roxanne fucking Modafferi? I love Roxanne. Wow. Anyways, like I said, tried to get rid of 125 when Demetrius Johnson was killing. Don't need to repeat what happened to him. Look at what they're doing with Valentina. You think they're thinking about getting rid of her? Hell no. Last point. Kayla Harrison, PFL, the next big name in women's mixed martial arts to everybody that's paying attention. She's been fighting at 155 pounds. Do you know how hard it was for the UFC to bring Cyborg in when she was fighting at 145 pounds? Well, we don't have the division. You know what I mean? So they finally created the division, brought Cyborg in. She got the belt. She got defeated by Amanda. Amanda's their girl. Do they really want to bring in an even bigger woman in Kayla Harrison and put her in there with Amanda? Do they want to make that caveat and pay Kayla Harrison what she probably wants to get paid? No. Dana White said it. She needs to stay over there and keep beating those girls over there. Who's she beating over there? Uber drivers. But she's beating the brakes off of them. Look, guys, I kind of went long today. That's all I got. I appreciate you guys for watching. And until I come back again, as always, stay frosty.
Chasing a bag this way, grateful for every day. I wanna make some more, I make every play. 2 phones on me, 2 zones on me. I'm gonna get some more, you know the trap can't wait. No wonder why I act this way, chasing the bag all day. I done been broke before, I ain't going back that way. I'm tryna pave that way, I made a million plays. I done been broke before, I ain't going back that way. I done been broke before, I ain't going back that way. I done been broke before, I ain't going back that way. I done been broke before, I ain't going back that way. I done been broke before, I ain't going back that way. Chasing the bag this way, grateful for every day. I wanna make some more, I make every play. 2 phones on me, 2 zones on me. I'm gonna get some more, you know the trap can't wait.